at a point where we had to really prove ourselves as artists. Because it was a time for the label it was a good time for them having artists that have really made some headroom in the industry. And so us being pretty much like the only, well, not at that time we weren't the only hip hop, but we were definitely some of the veterans. We really had to step our game up, because it's still business at the end of the day. I mean, no matter how close you are, whatever, we still needed to make something happen that kept us viable, even for them as a label. And saying that, I'll definitely throw it to Joy to kind of get some of his feel on that process, that from what he could remember on the momentous occasion, right? Of that Art of Translation record. I mean, what did that do for you guys? Like for you when we that compared to anything before of the records that we had done? I mean, I can imagine just as a business person hearing that record, going, wow, we may have something here. Just what are your feelings on that time? And
I just remember, I feel like, my memory is bad, so you gotta remind me if I'm wrong, but you guys kind of went off and did some for a second.
Yeah.
And then you kind of were on Rough House for a second.
Yeah.
So what I remember was, my take from outside looking in was you were writing songs and you were being informed by your relationship, in your local body for sure. But you were making songs that you weren't making songs for specifically the church. Mm-hmm. So like the whole playing field was open to that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those songs that got on the record came from those writing sessions for that album that you were going to put out on the Rough House, right?
Because the sample we used on Here We Go was actually from a Palm Pictures. We had the whole clearance hoopla with that, but we used that sample for it was called Sidestep.
Yeah, Sidestep.
Yeah, we used that on the Here We Go joint that we did on Art of Translation. And we spent time in London because that's where the label was based. So we were traveling across overseas and back, so we were experiencing different things too, and it came out in the music. We incorporated all that stuff into what we were doing at the time.
Yeah. And I remember getting the record for the first time, because me, I just kind of listened to it when it's done.
Yeah.
There's smarter ears than me in the room, but I remember hearing it for the first time going, these guys wrote something. I knew, in my heart of hearts, I knew that a lot of this had been created for Palm, for Rough House, and it just was wide open. Mm-hmm. There was nothing in it that was particularly like you didn't step out of your personalities, you didn't step out of your what who you guys were, but I could tell you didn't feel it.
Yeah.
And I think the music reflected that. And I remember the first time I played it for EMI, I just remember the room getting real quiet. And then when the song, we played Here We Go first. And then we played a couple of songs, and I remember it was just for the general market team. And I remember that was the first time we ever got a positive reaction from those guys. Usually it's like, okay, thanks, we'll just see what we can do. And this one was, all right, man, we gotta go talk about this one. Wow. Yeah, I remember Serving calling me and saying, if you don't do something with the song Running, I will never mix another song out. It's funny because that's the one song that seemed like it got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it did.
And he's talking about Serving Gotee.
Yeah.
Because Pharrell and all the major cast.
Beyonce.
This dude is not affordable, so don't even look him up.
But he called me maybe 3 times ever in 20 years. And Certain called me and said, if you don't do something with Running, I promise you I'm never going to mix another record.
I forgot that was one of his. That was one of his favorite. That was like his favorite joint, Running. And you're right. It was
that song is got slept on.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of great songs on that record that got slept on. That's one in particular that got slept on. Not many got slept on.
Now you can let us have it back since we're in front of some witnesses. You can let us have it back, and we can do something with it now.
That song is beautiful.
I love that song, man.
I mean,
And that's the song with V3.
Yeah.
Vincent Sisters out of Atlanta, man, doing that thing. So y'all check them out, Google them, on Twitter, find those girls. They're very good.
I think a big thing too, something that he said that kind of went over people's head, or that I don't think people should miss, is that during that 3-year process, that's when we were that after Grammatical, that's when we we were traveling and things like that, and we weren't on the scene like that because, like he said, we were dealing with a whole nother level when it comes to labels and producers. And I remember going on and doing the photo shoot for Rough Nation, and with Chris Schwartz.
And they had us in jean outfits,
man,
like Gotee.
And it was like the first time I ever
On a hot
jeans
street
that
in
cost more than
Philadelphia.
$300, and I was like, man, these jeans cost $400, man. What is this? I was like shocked, like, wow, for real, people pay this for jeans? But it was a cool experience. But at the end of the day, I'm actually glad that we almost kind of brought it all the way back full circle and came back to Gotee with it, and had the opportunity to have that moment and have that success with these guys. Because honestly, after even learning what we learned, being around and with pretty much like the big dogs in the industry, it's like, I mean, we probably wouldn't have benefited as much as we would have if we wouldn't have been with Gotee, because these guys were not just a label; they were friends. They were brothers. It was, now don't get me wrong, it was all business, but we handled business like brothers. And what I appreciate was we always were honest with each other, and we were able to put everything on the table, but walk away and still go have some coffee. And it wasn't a thing, you know.
They were open to letting us grow organically. So,
Exactly.
Whereas we learned quick, dealing with mainstream labels and people who had a big machine in place. They didn't want to do anything outside of that machine.
Yeah, they had a cookie cutter that they wanted to stick with.
And either you fit into it or you didn't. But at the end of the day, you were still signed into an agreement and a deal, whether they were excited about you or not. And that's never a good place to be. So, the minute we felt like we couldn't be the artists we needed to be, that's when things just needed to change or readjust and go back to what we had before.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you guys were growing so fast, songwriters and performers. I remember the jump. I mean, Grammatical is a great record, but I remember when you guys kind of, when Chris first called me and said, hey, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing this with, because Rough Nation kind of felt like,
Yeah, they did.
before that, Palm felt like.
Yep.
Because they both had high levels of belief in you. I remember Kim's still here in town.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Kim's still in town, and Kim Bowie, I'm not sure where she is now. She was at Lost Highway for a minute. I think she does management now. Anyways, they both called me at different times, and when you guys came back, I hadn't heard the music. Up through Grammatical, you guys were, your creativity, your songwriting was just going like that. It was a record that was what I mean. And that's when those things. Because I remember, I know this isn't, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but you guys were knee deep in there with Tim and Rice at that moment.
Yeah.
And just the subject matter, it wasn't written like a Christian record, but it was being informed by what you were hearing. And I think that's what was so great. Because there was no cliches, you weren't trying to write a hit record.
Right.
There was like when you're really learning a lot in life and you probably professionally, you're just kind of humble. You're just kind of like, there's a spirit of you guys, man. You guys were just, I just kind of just remember just being, you guys being very much at peace in that moment when you turned the record in. And it wasn't that you didn't want it to be successful. I don't ever remember you guys saying, this is what I'm going to do. Because I think you guys intuitively knew you gave it all you got.
Yeah.
Everything you had.
Yeah.
It was a really good moment.
Yeah, we did. We actually did settle on Here We Go.
We did a good video. It was a solid video.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was the best video we've ever done, and definitely critically acclaimed. People to this day still talk about that, and
A lot of imagery in that.
Yeah.